before you guys go to Joshua Tree, Anza Borrego, or Death Valley. These are the top 10 things to know before you go. Tip number one, no cell service. There is no cell service, and once you get inside the parks, there's nothing. So make sure you guys do download a map of the area. Also, if you are using Google Maps, you can also download the routes and everything on your phone, so that way you could have an offline roadmap of where you're going to go. Also, be sure to visit the visitor center. Every single location, especially these three, does have a visitor center, and the great thing about it is you could talk to the rangers to find out what the paths are, what the conditions are on the dirt roads, and they have maps there for you of the entire recreational area. Tip number two, let your family know. Don't just take off and think everything is good. There's been some horror stories. Somebody goes out there, they gone missing. Don't be on the news. Let somebody know. Make sure they know where you're going, where you're at, when you're going to arrive. Typically what I do right before I enter, I say, hey, I'm about to get here. I don't know if there's cell service, but I made it. Tip number three, personal essentials. One of the things I tell everybody is when it comes to personal essentials, you can never have enough water. Never have enough water. Now, what I do is personally, I have a cooler here, and this is a good size cooler. It's a big one, and I do have 4 of these freeze packs to keep my water cold. Now, some of the personal essentials that are a must-have: chapstick. You're going to the desert. Even in the wintertime, you're going to want to bring chapstick. If you're in there for the wintertime, bring some kind of jacket of some sorts. It's not a bad idea. And also bring shorts. I know, pants, shorts, jackets, short sleeves. Just look at the forecast, look at the weather, see what it is that you're doing, but make sure you do bring that stuff. Also, sunblock and glasses. Just keep that in mind. And hats if you have to protect your head. Tip number 4, vehicle essentials. Remember, we are going to the desert, so you do need a couple things for your vehicle just in case. One of the biggest things is desert, sand. You're going to have to air down. And if you have to air down, you're going to need air to come back up. So have something like this. I reviewed this thing on the Rohas Tech channel. This air compressor in a pinch. It might take a little bit of time to get all 4 tires, but a great thing to have right there. Also, if you do get stuck, bring a strap. Bring 2 straps if you need to. Also, gloves just in case, because you never know. Now, what I personally do is I always carry one of these things here. This is just shop towels, shop rag, just in case you have to get a little bit dirty. And also, just in case, bring an extra bottle of antifreeze or a thing of water, just in case you overheat. And the last thing I always do is, again, if you got to break down, have something right there for power, just in case. Now, the last thing I always recommend when it comes to vehicle essentials is check gas. Make sure you have gas before you go inside, because sometimes gas prices inside the actual parks will be very expensive. Tip number 5, forecast. Look at the weather. You never know what's going to happen with the weather out there. Is it going to be cold? Is it going to be hot? Is it going to rain? Are you going to have some kind of wind advisory? Very important. And based on the weather, that's how you should pack your stuff. So make sure you guys do some thorough research on that. Tip number 6, this is very important. Know the road. Know what your vehicle can handle. I have a truck, and I'm like, I should be able to get through some of the sand and stuff. Well, I went well, and then I got stuck in Anza Borrego. When it came to Joshua Tree, everything was paved, so I didn't have to worry about 4x4, all-wheel drive. I didn't have to worry about that. Also, most of the time when some of us buy our vehicles, they think like, okay, it's a 4-wheel drive. My sticker actually said 4-wheel drive, and when I got stuck in the sand, guess what? My rear wheels were the ones that were spinning. So, know the road before you go. Tip number 7, make sure you make a checklist. If you are bringing well, like me, if I ever bring my puppy around to the desert or anything like that, I make sure she's got shoes. But sometimes I do forget. I went to Anza in my flip-flops, and I was like, what am I going to do? So make a checklist, make a list of everything that you might need, and double check that checklist just in case. When you're looking at the weather and all that stuff, you'll know what to bring, you'll know what to have. Make sure you have plenty of clothes, plenty of socks, especially if you're going out to the deserts to hike and stuff. Which kind of leads to tip number 8, which is check your amenities. Again, as I did forget my hiking shoes, and I had my sandals in Anza. I was very lucky. They had a sporting store, and I was able to come in, buy some shoes, and go hiking, and I was good to go. Also, amenities. Look for restaurants, look for gas stations, look for anything that you might need just in case you're out there. I like to try some of the food that's out there because it's going to be very unique to that area. Death Valley, right outside of Death Valley, maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours, there's Baker, so you can get some really good beef jerky. And the hotel there, their restaurant, amazing, amazing. So do some research, do some research. Tip number 9 is so important. Your stay. Where are you going to stay at? Are you going to stay at somewhere where it's going to be nice, comfortable? Is it going to be just a basic motel? And read the reviews. Read the reviews, because sometimes you'll look at the place and say, hey, this is great. And then in like when I was doing some research in Joshua Tree, there's some very expensive stays in there. So I didn't stay out there because it was going to be too expensive. For Anza, I did stay at one of their resorts, which is pretty nice. And I should have planned ahead a little bit longer, and I should have booked the hotel a little bit longer because the one that I wanted was booked. So make sure you do your research and read the reviews to make sure they have amenities. Sometimes they do give you free breakfast. They make Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is big. Make sure you have good Wi-Fi. And Death Valley, I was reading that sometimes the Wi-Fi is very spotty there, and that they sometimes lose power. So more things to keep in mind. And tip number 10, sometimes there are some rules, and those rules could mean I can't bring her along. And if I can't bring her along, now I have to figure out where I'm going to put her. A lot of these places, they do not allow pets to travel on or to hike on these trails. The other thing I found out too is I can't take my drone in some of these national parks either. So what do? And then fees. Sometimes there are entrance fees. The only one that was not an entrance fee, Anza, I was able to come in, go to the hotel. However, there was a fee for the trail that I wanted to do called the Slide. Now for Joshua Tree, there was a fee to enter Joshua Tree, and you have to have the same ticket to exit Joshua Tree. Death Valley, a little bit different. They're more on the honor system. They are more, you have to purchase this ahead of time. As long as they don't pull up your license that you did not pay for it, you should be good to go. But read the rules and regulations for each one of these deserts, and you should be fine. So those are my top 10 must-knows before you go to Joshua Tree, Anza, or Death Valley. Very important to check on all 10 of them and check that list. Have fun when you go out to the desert. My final tip, which is a bonus, do not go during the summer to any of these locations because they are extremely hot. You can take your chances, check the weather. If it's anything over 110 degrees, I wouldn't recommend it. Anything between 100 to 110, it's going to be uncomfortable a little bit. Make sure you bring a lot of water. And then, of course, anything under 100, still a lot of water, but you should have a blast hiking, doing all kinds of trails and sightseeing. Enjoy. Let me know if you guys have gone to any of these 3 deserts. Leave me a comment below so that way I could see where you've been at and what is your favorite spot out of all of them. I could give you all kinds of ideas of where to go, and stay tuned because this month I will be posting tons of videos of Joshua Tree, Salton City, Palm Springs, Anza, Death Valley, including also resorts and where to stay. So stay tuned for that one. You guys take care of each other. See you guys in the next adventure. Take care, guys.